Hey friends, this is Carrie and welcome back to I Like Reddit channel. Today we have a variety of stories out of some different subreddits. Let's begin. Our first story is by Noise. Parents want me to be unemployed until it's convenient for them. I had to move back into my parents' house last year to help with my little brother, and everything was okay. Recently, I had to leave my work due to very minor health issues and a few other problems, and the company had no choice but to replace me because of what kind of work it is. So I'm left looking for a new job. The main issue is that my dad's car is out of commission until he can find a replacement part. He's been using my car to get to and from work. My parents are asking me to stop looking for a job and stay at home, cleaning the house and watching over my brother, as my work since I don't have a car right now to go anywhere. I've argued that I need an actual income. My bills won't be put on hold just because I have no income to pay them. My dad says I need to do this to do my part for providing for our family because he needs the car so that he can go to work. We actually had a huge argument, and I actually have no way to take the car back since it's under their name in order to make the insurance less expensive for me to pay. So it's technically their car. I don't know what else to do about this. I'm pretty panicked about the bills and wondering how I will be able to pay. In the comments section, Mountain Moss said, "Just stop arguing. It's pretty useless unless they'll agree to pay your income as a full-time nanny. Continue silently searching for a job, and when you get an interview, say you need the car for an urgent doctor's appointment or whatever, and then go to the said interview. Once you have your job, just don't hand over the keys to them. Switch the title of the car over to your name as soon as possible." Another commenter, ehall197033, said, "Every car has a title and all you need to do is fill out the title to switch it over to your name. Even though they have the insurance on it, once the title is in your name, they have no say over the car. Try to have a sit-down conversation with them about how your hand was forced because you were living and trying to be a contributing member of society." So if the OP doesn't have a job, how exactly are they going to pay for the insurance if the parents are not willing to pay their son for taking care of the younger boy? The OP is not allowed to get a job. Anyway, on to the next story. Our next post is by wildchild371. "Don't let me call in sick? Fine, I'll just quit." A little bit of background. I'd been working at this restaurant for about 18 months as a food runner. It's an okay job, but the company was going corporate and they had really stopped caring about their employees. We were super short-staffed because of this. I was one of 2 food runners, and normally they would have 6 to 10 people hired. And I was considering quitting too because I was tired of being mistreated. One week in October, I got really sick. I had a low fever, was congested, had passed out earlier, and had double pink eye. That week, I was scheduled to work Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. Legally, you can't handle food when you have pink eye, so I called out of work on Tuesday. My manager already told me it didn't matter if I have pink eye, and "If you don't come in, you'll need a doctor's note or we'll have to let you go." The manager didn't care if I was contagious. She would rather have me work while sick than risk taking a day off I didn't need. I wasn't surprised that I would need a doctor's note, but it really irked me that she threatened to fire me for not coming in. That wasn't the company's policy, she was just abusing her power. I ended up going to the doctor the next day, and at the same time I turned my doctor's note in, I also turned in my 2 weeks notice. This meant the restaurant was down to only 1 food runner. To be honest, I probably would have kept working there if my manager hadn't threatened to fire me over calling in sick. A few weeks later, a friend told me they still hadn't been able to hire someone new, which made quitting so much more satisfying. It sounds like that restaurant was just a dumpster fire and just a miserable place to work. It's great that OP finally was able to get out, but also get some revenge on the jerk manager at the same time. Anyway, on to the next story. If you're enjoying my content so far, please put some heart emojis in the comment section below. Our next story is posted by D15COUNTMD. "I'm not a doctor. This happened about 10 years ago. I was 18 and doing my public service. Austria has mandatory military service for all 18-year-old males. If you refuse, you have to serve a longer time in the community project or government agency. I was with the local police. So some stuff happened late one evening, and my mom was rushed to the hospital. Things were confusing and hectic, so I grabbed whatever was on the drying rack and ran over to the clinic. So there I was, looking for the ward my mom was admitted to, wearing my dad's way oversized white shirt. A woman came over to me and asked me where Mrs. XY's room is. Me: I'm very sorry, I don't know where that is. Lady: I'm here for my sister. I want you to tell me at once what you are intending to do about her illness. Me: you must be confusing me for someone who works here. I'm sorry, I'm looking for my mother. Lady: Nonsense, doctor. You clearly work here. I will not let myself be sent away like yesterday. I have the right to know about my sister. Me: is this about the shirt? That's just a white shirt, not a lab coat. Lady: I want to speak to your superior. Me: please do. I don't work here. At this point, I just walk away quickly, as I had definitely had other stuff on my mind than defending my poor choice of clothing that night. Turns out, I was a bit too early for the hospital. My mom wasn't in the system yet, so nobody could tell me anything. A year later, I passed my entrance exams for medical school, and now am in my residency. So now maybe I could help you indeed with your relative, but not my 18-year-old self with pimples and braces. Seriously, do I look like a surgeon? My mom made a miraculous recovery, by the way. Maybe the lady thought you were Doogie Howser, MD. Anyway, on to our final post. Our final post is by Dromio05. Dad gets fired for bogus reasons, plays the long game, ends up in charge, takes extended family on a cruise. My dad had worked at the same company for almost 30 years before he was abruptly fired for a bogus reason. He was coordinating an upcoming meeting with people who were flying in from all around the country. One important participant resigned unexpectedly, so Dad canceled the meeting via email and explained why. Apparently, that counted as improperly communicating privileged information, and he was fired the next day. All this happened a week after Dad's boss retired and was replaced by a new guy who wanted to cut costs. What a coincidence! This was about 10 years ago, near the height of the recession. Dad was in his 50s and hadn't interviewed for a job since the early 80s. He wasn't sure he'd ever find another job. My mom went back to work at a school to pay the bills, while Dad scraped together what he could from doing really crappy online consulting gigs for basically minimum wage. They managed to keep their heads above water, but only barely. Dad was out of work for a year and a half. He finally landed a job at a new company 3 states away, coincidentally about an hour away from where my wife and I lived and were expecting Dad's first grandchild. Mom and Dad moved to live about 20 minutes away from us. They had paid off the mortgage on the house, so they decided to keep it and rent it out, planning to retire there in a few years. The new company treated Dad very well. Better salary than he had made at the old company, good benefits, and respect from his co-workers and superiors. A year later, Mom and Dad were able to buy a second, smaller house near their grandkids. Dad mentioned a few things about his time at the old company to the new bosses. Nothing confidential or anything like that, more like their overall strengths and weaknesses. Of course, the story of how he got fired came out as well. It turns out that when you work at a company for over 25 years, you learn a thing or two about how it works, and cutting costs by firing experienced employees can make your company vulnerable. The new company started to get very interested. They saw an important business opportunity and also a chance to get revenge on behalf of a valued employee. A couple of years later, the new company bought the old company. They were both big companies, and mergers of this size take time. But when the dust settled, it was clear that there were redundancies, divisions and products that both companies had, and the new company only needed one of. They kept as many old company employees as they could, and very few lost their jobs. Except, of course, for the people responsible for firing my dad. The new company put my dad in charge of the building he used to work in at the old company and let him choose his employees from both the old and the new companies. Dad had moved back to the old state, so the new company helped sell his house in the new state and gave him a moving stipend of several $1,000s. But Mom and Dad were just moving back to their own house. They sold the new house that they had made payments and improvements on for 5 years for a nice profit. With that money, plus the moving stipend, they paid off debts and saved for retirement, and took me, my siblings, and spouse, and grandkids on a cruise. Edit. Since people are asking, I never heard exactly what transpired when the guy who fired Dad got downsized, but since it's Christmas, I'm actually able to just ask him. Dad wouldn't say. Exit interviews are supposed to stay private. I told him about this post, with all the names left out, and that people wanted to know. He just grinned and said, that would be improperly communicating privileged information. Anyway, that's all the stories I have today. Please stop on by Reddit to show the OP some love and an upvote. Links to the original stories will be in the description box below. If you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell notification to let you know when I've uploaded new content. Thank you for watching and have a great day.